Have you ever thought about how a sound that's supposed to bring people together could actually end up driving them apart? That's a strange idea, right? Well, today, we're diving into a really fascinating story about how a beloved cultural tradition, a sound literally meant for celebration, became the source of a huge community conflict.
Okay, so first things first, let's get on the same page with a key concept. When we say heritage, you might be picturing, dusty old artifacts locked up behind glass in a museum. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about intangible cultural heritage, or what's often called living heritage. This is the stuff that's alive, the music, the dances, the skills that are performed and passed down from person to person. It's what gives a community its soul.
So to really get our heads around this puzzle, we're going to zoom in on a specific example. It's a super vibrant form of Korean living heritage that was, from day one, designed to be shared with everyone.
We're talking about Nongak. And as UNESCO puts it, its whole reason for being is to create a shared identity. This isn't just music. It's this powerful mix of a community band with dancing and rituals, and for centuries it was the absolute heartbeat of rural Korean life. It was basically the social glue that held everything together.
And if you look at its original purpose, it was so clear. It was all about praying for good harvests, making sure everyone got along, and giving every single person a role to play for the good of the group. It was completely open, totally inclusive. It was literally the sound of a community working and celebrating as one.
But something's changed. That exact same sound, the one that used to be a symbol of unity, is now running into a very modern problem. You could say the community's heartbeat has become a headache for some people.
And here's the crazy part, the central paradox of this whole thing. The center that was built to teach and preserve Nongak has had to pack up and move multiple times. And why? Because of noise complaints from the very community it's supposed to be serving. Can you believe that? The sound of unity has become a public nuisance.
This slide just lays it all out so perfectly. The music itself, the actual heritage, it hasn't changed a bit, but the world around it, it's completely different. It went from its original home and farmlands where it was part of rituals and work to being shoved into a sports park in a busy business district. Its function went from prayer to just leisure, and its perception, well, it went from being the community's heartbeat to just noise.
So, the big question is, how on earth did this happen? Well, the root cause is a really powerful idea that academics call placelessness. Let's break down what that actually means. Think about it. How does a location that should be just brimming with cultural meaning and history, how does it become just another generic, empty space? Well, it seems to happen in a few key steps. First, our modern spaces, they just become generic. Business parks and housing developments that all look the same. They could be anywhere in the world. Then, economic value just takes over. The price of the land becomes way more important than the culture of the land. And the result? People's emotional connection, that sense of really belonging to a place, it just fades away. And that's the absolute key right there. When a place loses its unique story, its identity, it suffers from placelessness. So the Nongak Center isn't just in the wrong spot. It's in a location that has been, in a way, stripped of its soul. And that makes it almost impossible for the heritage to make any real, meaningful connection with the people around it. Now here's where it gets really interesting. That one single sound, the music of Nongak, is being heard in completely different ways depending on who you talk to. There's no single truth here. It's like three totally different realities are all happening in the same spot.
Just look at this breakdown. For the local citizens, the stakeholders, Nongak is a hobby, maybe something for health. For them, the center is basically a noisy and maybe even useless space. But then you have the teachers, the shareholders. For them, this is their duty, their job. Their whole life is about protecting this tradition. To them, it's a vital cultural hub. And the city administrators? For them, it's just another box to check, a recreational facility to manage, like a tennis court or a public pool. Three groups, one sound. Three totally different worlds.
So, with all these conflicting views, where do we even go from here? How can we start to bridge these huge gaps and reclaim a real place for this living heritage?
Well, the research offers this perfect analogy that I think just sums up the entire conflict beautifully. The sound of Nongak is like two sides of the exact same coin. And what you hear depends completely on your connection to the tradition, and this is the important part, your connection to the place itself. So on one side of that coin, you've got the people inside the tradition, the students and the teachers. For them, the sound is a benefit. It's learning, it's joy, it's a sense of solidarity and identity. But For those on the outside, stuck in that placeless, disconnected space, well, they just hear the other side of the coin, and that side is just noise. It causes anxiety, a feeling of wasted space, and this powerlessness to find any sort of meaning in what they're hearing.
And that's really the thought I want to leave you with, because this isn't just a story about Korean music. It's a question for all of us. As our own neighborhoods and cities change, what sounds do we just dismiss as noise? And what living, breathing heritage are we failing to hear, simply because it, too, has lost its place in the world?